Hi everyone, welcome to this month's Learning Labs. Today we have Erica Heidi showing us how to work through the Chainguard WordPress image. So we're so excited to have her here. I just want to go over a few housekeeping items here on the right. Sorry, you'll see a chat box and also a Q&A tab where you can comment with questions or maybe even tell us where you're tuning in from. So without further ado, I'm going to give the stage to Erica.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to share my screen so you can start right away. Yes, so let's get started. There's a lot to cover. Today, we'll be talking about the WordPress Chainguard image. And I'm Erica Heidi. I work at the developer enablement team at Chainguard. As a developer experience engineer, I write tutorials, documentation, and I also do some other things related to educating users around how to use images and also about software supply chain security. I have a background in PHP development. I was a PHP dev for a long time in my career, and also Linux and systems administration. I'm really into open source. And I'm also the PHP person at Chainguard. So the first images, the first packages that I built, then of course my colleagues helped improve a lot all these things. But whenever there is an opportunity to some new PHP stuff, then I'm usually involved. And then I also built the WordPress image. That's why I'm talking about it today. So what we will cover today. We'll start with a primer on software supply chain security and CVEs. Then I will give an overview of Chainguard images and then about migrating to Chainguard images, like in a nutshell, quickly. And then I will present the Chainguard WordPress image, and then we will see a demo. Okay, so let's start with a primer on software supply chain security and CVEs. Just like in manufacturing industries and any other industry, the process of creating, building, and delivering software also depends on a large change of dependencies, and we call that software supply chain. And any point of this chain can present a compromise. It can be malicious and can also be unintentional, like a bug or some kind of issue. It's a software supply chain security issue. If it's a bug or something that prevents that dependency from working correctly, and then gives you issues to deliver your software to users, then it's an issue in your software supply chain. It can be exploitable or not also. And some of the preventive actions includes to prevent issues in the software supply chain is, of course, limiting surface for attack, limiting the number of dependencies you have. Trying to depend on less things is always better if possible. And also trying to enforce provenance attestations, which we're going to talk a little bit later on. But basically is making sure the image is coming, the software is coming from a trustable source, and it has attestations to prove that. So your application can be totally perfect and it totally fine, no bugs, no vulnerabilities whatsoever, but you will always depend on other software, third-party dependency that was less updated 4 years ago. There is a dependency of a dependency, and you don't have control over that. So this is when there is an issue with your software supply chain. And then let's talk a little bit about CVEs. You probably heard that term a lot already, or not. CVE stands for Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures. These are records of publicly disclosed software vulnerabilities. And this is a program that was created. The CVE program was created in 1999, and it has over 200,000 registered vulnerabilities already. And more are added each day. This is just the vulnerabilities that we know about, of course. There is a scoring system. There is a framework to define and classify vulnerabilities by severity. And this is the CVSS, Common Vulnerability Scoring System. And then we have low, medium, high, and critical as the main classifications, but there is also negligible and also unknown. Usually you'll see these also on the scan results, but these are the ones that we should pay attention to, from low to critical. Even a low vulnerability can be dangerous if combined with others. So it's also something to keep an eye on. There are some CVE scanners that are popular, like Gripe and Trivi. These are free to use, and then you can use them to scan your container images, and detect the presence of affected packages. Patching CVEs is a time-draining task. It requires a lot of attention because there is also false positives a lot of times, and sometimes also you don't have a patch available already on your package managers, APT or whatever you use for packages. Maybe the patch is not available yet, so you try to update, but there is no update available, and then you have to manually patch a package, and this is a lot of time consuming. This is very time consuming for your team, of course. Your app, there will always be some CVEs lurking, whether it's in the top level of your app or on the huge pile of software that you are depending on, because everybody uses open source, and open source is great. I love open source. I do open source. I contribute. But there's a lot of unknowns. You are depending on a lot of software, and 98% of what you deploy, it's not really your code. You didn't write that. Your team didn't write that. So you cannot vouch for everything that is there. So your code is like the tip of the iceberg, and then there's a lot more underneath. So how bad is the situation in container images in general? This is data coming from Gripe, the Gripe scanner, CVE scanner, and the data is from last week. And then it compares some different container images, WordPress container images that are popular on Docker Hub, and also there's the Chainguard WordPress image that is quite new. So the first one is the default latest WordPress image, which I think is based on Debian. And we have 175 medium CVEs, 63 high severity CVEs, 8 critical, and 9 low. So there's a lot of CVEs. And then we have the PHP 8.3 FPM Alpine, which should be, you think, a smaller image, maybe, but based on Alpine and PHP FPM, but it has over 30 critical CVEs. That's what Gripe reported last week on these images. And it's a lot of more medium and high severity vulnerabilities. So it's complicated, right? And then there's Bitnami WordPress, which is also a very popular image on Docker Hub. And then we have 8 critical, 27 high severity, 46 medium. So yes, there's a lot of CVEs for container image. And then you come to Chainguard WordPress image, there is 1 medium CVE. Well, you might think that's impossible. How that is possible at all? And well, we'll see in a moment. I will explain what are Chainguard images, how they are different, and etc. So let's start with an overview. So Chainguard images are low or zero, sometimes zero, many times zero CVE. Hardened container images, they are minimal. And most of the security and all the good things that come from Chainguard comes from these two rules, limit attack surface and provide provenance attestations where the image comes. So these are two really important pillars. And there is also the frequency of updates. This is the third pillar. So these are three important things for having secure container images. So Chainguard images are based on Wolfie, which is a Linux undistro. We call it an undistro because it's not like a regular Linux distribution that has a kernel of its own, has a lot of packages that is supposed to work on many different platforms. And Wolfie was created from the ground up to be used for containers. So it's a minimal distribution. It doesn't have all that stuff that a regular distribution has. And we have daily builds for packages. So the packages are always updated with the latest patches available. There's a lot of automation used to keep these packages up to date. And our team also of engineers, of course, are always working to have these CVEs fixed and patches applied. We have also the distroless images that are like a next level hardening. We have the regular images that you are used to work with. And then we also have the distroless images that are very next level for hardening your environments. And all the images have complete software bill of materials and also different attestations like SALSA provenance attestation that you can verify the precedence, the provenance of the image, where it comes from, where it was built, and data like that, information like that. A lot of metadata is also available for automation systems to verify the images. And we will now talk about the Chainguard PHP images. So we have the first one was PHP, and then we also have the Laravel one built last year. And now we have the WordPress image that I built this year. I built all these images with the help of my team, of course, our team. But yeah, PHP Chainguard images, we have it. So we have here a table comparing the images that are available for anyone to pull free of charge, free tier developer images. We have 3 images and they have different variants. So this table is to compare them, to see overview, high level of the differences. The PHP image has a PHP FPM variant. The Laravel and WordPress are unique images, only WordPress, only Laravel. And Laravel and WordPress have an entry point for use PHP FPM as entry point. The WordPress image also uses an entry point script. I will talk about this later. And then we have the CLI PHP, which the PHP latest is the CLI PHP to execute command line PHP scripts. And we have a basic collection of PHP extensions included within the PHP image, PHP and PHP FPM. And then for Laravel, we have the extensions that are required by Laravel, and for WordPress also extensions that are required and recommended for running WordPress. And then we have the distroless image and the non-distroless image. But yeah, what is that? What is distroless? Well, let me explain, right? So the distroless image is a minimal image that contains only the software that you need to create a slim runtime. So the latest is always distroless. Usually, like for 99% of Chainguard images, latest is a distroless image. And then we have the latest dev, which is a non-distroless image. Is a regular image, APK based like Alpine, but still smaller and better than the counterparts available from other base systems, other base operating systems. So the non-distroless image contains APK, bash, and other utilities. You can install anything you want that is available at Wolfie, because these are Wolfie-based images. So any package that is available in the Wolfie repositories, you can install on the non-distroless image. So these images, they are identified by the dev suffix. So latest dev is the non-distroless variants that you're going to use to develop applications, to build applications, and also to run on production. If you need to install and customize, you might want to use that image as well, because it's still better than other images on the market. But the distroless image is another level of security, because it doesn't include APK, it doesn't include bash. You won't be able to log in, you won't be able to install anything extra, but that's the idea. It's a very tight image, hardened, to be used as a runtime. And then we'll see how these images can be combined in a Docker file, in a multi-stage Docker file, we'll see later, to create a final image that is distroless, but you can still install everything you need. Okay. So now that we've seen really like a crash course into CVEs and vulnerabilities in general in container images, CVEs in container images, and the differences between Chainguard images, flavors, let's say, we now see a section about migrating to Chainguard images in general. So if you are using other images, Debian base, Alpine, then you want to migrate to Chainguard images, I will give you an overview, high level. So the first thing you need to do is identify the base image you need. So in this case, if you are on WordPress, then you might use the WordPress image. Of course, it's going to have already what you need, features that are going to be more easy for you to install a WordPress image runtime. But you can also use Wolfie base, for instance, install everything manually, which is a lot of work. So just use the WordPress image, I would say. But there's also images for like all sorts of application ecosystems, programming ecosystems, programming languages, and other types of images you will find. Then start with the dev variant, which is the non-distroless image, because it's a more apples to apples, converting a Docker file. When you get your Docker file and you're going to convert to Chainguard images, then you probably have some package installations, things like that. Then you want to start with the dev variant first and make it work. So you will convert your Docker file to Wolfie. And what I mean with that is replacing some commands. If you're coming from Debian, for instance, then I have a table here that I will show. So convert Docker file to Wolfie, changing the commands that I will show in a moment what I'm talking about. Identify any packages that are missing you may need to install or not, or there's another way to fix it. And then finally, you can try to migrate to a distroless image in a multi-stage Docker file that we're still going to see. And there is no shell on the distroless. That's true, but you don't need one for a runtime. That's the thing. You don't need APK. You don't need extra packages. You need to make it harder for people to exploit the environment. So it's better that it has only what you need for running your application. Okay, so let's say that you are migrating from Debian or Ubuntu images. Then you're going to have to replace any apt install commands with apk add. And apt remove is apk-del in apk road. Then we have apt update, apk update, and user add user. So there's some differences in the BusyBox compilation for Wolfie, from Alpine also sometimes. But these are the most common replacements that we have to do when we migrate to a Chainguard image from a Debian or Ubuntu base image. Okay, so this is just to give you an idea of what you need to do at first to migrate. I'm going to talk about now the WordPress Chainguard image, and I will show some Docker files of how to use it. And then later on, then I will run a demo. I will go in demo modes. Then I will show some scans. I will do some scan the images with Gripe, and then I will also show the environments, installing WordPress, etc. Okay. Then you see in practice how the setup, the whole setup looks like. Okay, so the WordPress Chainguard image is available. You can look at the images directory to get information about this image, images.chainguard.dev. And the free tier, you can use the latest dev versions of the image, and the other tags are available for customers as well. It's also available on Docker Hub. The latest dev versions of the free tier is available. These are available also on Docker Hub if you prefer to pull from there. So what are the differences and which features do we have? So the latest dev image is very similar to the official images. It also has the same entry point script. It works in the same way. So you define a number of environment variables, and this will set up your WordPress. And you can also you can also use a volume share from Docker to install custom themes and plugins. So these are the same features that you have on the official image. And the latest is different. The latest is distroless. The latest is the distroless version. It's a minimal runtime. There is no APK, there is no shell, and it doesn't have the entry point script, because the idea is that enforcing that you manually copy the files that you need only, and you cannot install anything extra. You cannot customize it. File modifications are not allowed in the distroless image. So the way to work with that, I'm going to show later on, but you will basically build in one stage and then copy the files, the artifacts, to a final runtime that is distroless. So this is the first example. We have here a development, could be development of build environments, and a customization. Allowing for customization. So let me explain this Docker file. This Docker file is based on the latest dev image, because we want to use the entry point script and everything. And then we set a UID arguments, because in order to create a volume share and to persist the customizations, you're going to go to the dashboard and install a new theme, a new plugin. This will be copied to the WP content folder, right? And then you will need to persist this to your host machine. And for this volume share to work, we need to create a user, WordPress user. So this is what we do in this Docker file. We start with the user root, and then because the default user is PHP on the PHP images, and then we're gonna change to root here, and then we're gonna add a group and a user, call it WordPress, using the same UID from your local host machine. So on Linux systems, usually is 1000 for your regular user, but there is a command that you can use to replace this at runtime. But anyways, and then we're gonna set the permissions for the document root to this user WordPress, and set it to be the default user running commands in this image. All right. So this, in combination with a Docker Compose file that I'm gonna show in the demo, Then in the Docker Compose file, you can set up the database, you can set up the environment variables, and then everything combined, you create your whole LAMP environment running WordPress locally with Docker and Docker Compose. I'm going to show you in a moment. The second example now, it's the distroless, using the distroless image. So this is going to use two different build stages. You see that there's two from lines. So the first build stage is for building actually the whole folder with your whole WordPress installation. So first we start using creating an environment based on latest dev, call it builder, and then we will set a single environment variable just to trigger the creation of the wp-config.php file. This file is only created when the entry point script detects the environment variables to set up WordPress, set up the database and everything. But these environments variables won't be I won't be present in the distroless image. I just triggering the creation of a WP config file. We'll set the environment variables in the Docker Compose file. So after setting up one environment variable just to trigger the creation of the WP config file, we're going to copy the contents to WP contents to the location of the source of the files, that is USRS3 WordPress WP contents. So these are any customizations will go to the source. And then we run the entry point script finally. And why we need to run the entry point script manually? Because the entry point script only runs at runtime. And we want to run it at build time when we build the image, because this image will be all self-contained. It will have everything already in it. It cannot be modified later on. That's why you cannot run the entry point script when running the image. But when building, we have to execute it when building the image. So then finally, we go to the distroless environments. We create a new environment based on WordPress latest, a new stage, actually. And this is distroless. And then we can just copy everything from the source to the final document root in the distroless image. I hope that can be a bit complicated, but I will show the demo running, and then I hope it will be more clear then. Okay, so we're going now to the demo part of the talk. At the end, you can ask questions, of course. So let me share my, no, that's not the right slide. Okay. Let me share now my terminal. Yes, okay. Okay, so this example is on the edu images demos. Is a repository that we have a lot of demos from our images. It's open source on GitHub. Then you can check the examples there and run on your machine by yourself. We'll share the link later, okay? So this is the second demo. Like I have here 3 different demos in this repository. We have the first one, preview, is very simple. You just run and installs, you can install WordPress, but nothing is persisted because there are no volumes set up or anything. So I'm not going to run this one. I'm going to the second one, customizing. So the idea is customizing with the latest dev and then getting the theme, the plugins, everything you saved and creating the distroless one. So let's go to the 02. So here I have the same Docker file that I showed in the slides. Okay, the same thing. And the Docker Compose file, I'm going to show you and explain. So we have three services. We have the app service, and we have the Nginx service, which is also Chainguard Nginx image, and the MariaDB image, also from Chainguard. I'm going to start explaining the other images quickly, then I'll go to the WordPress image. So the database, we use the MariaDB image, and it has these features also from same as the official images that you can set up environment variables to create your database. And these, we're going to set this up here, the environments here. So these are the same variables, but here in the app, so we can share the same info. Okay, so these environment variables are defined in a file, an environment variable file. So let me see. Yes, so let me show the env first. I forgot about this. So we have the env file with the actual values for the environment variables, and then Docker Compose pulls the data automatically from this .env file when building the image and also running the environment. Okay, so this will be pulled automatically. And so we set the MariaDB database, create a database, and then we go to the Nginx is also simple. It has an nginx.conf share here to configure Nginx, the document root for WordPress. It's also in the same folder. I can show you later. And then we set up port redirect 8000 on the host, 8000 on the remotes. So Nginx, and then services. So the app service is actually what is using the Docker file. So we're going to build an image using the Docker file that we created, that I showed previously. And also the same UID as argument here. We are passing this to the Docker file actually at build time. And then we have user WordPress, this is some data to run automatically as WordPress user, and the environment variables here, and the volume. So this is important. We have here a volume sharing. WP content on the local, on your host machine, there is a folder here, WP content. And this will be the same, this will be shared at var www html WP content, which is the document root. The document root is also set up here as a different share because Nginx needs that. Nginx needs the document root share. So this is for Nginx, and this one is for sharing the source. If you have customizations, if you install a theme or a plugin, then this will be persisted on the WP content folder on your host machine. Okay, let's see in practice. You can see here that I have a WP content folder. It already has the things because I ran it before. So I'm going to delete this stuff. Otherwise, it's going to show a little error message. So here we nothing. Okay, so the local host is not running nothing now. I see there is a question. So I'll ask I will answer the question already. So as the data is persisted to var www HTML. So they automatically, no, that's the idea. So for the distro-less especially, you should not allow for file modifications inside your WP installation. So you have to update the image, build a new image whenever there are updates. And these make sure that you have the packages coming from a secure source, because the automatic updates will be allowing, I know, of course, it's from WordPress, but you will be allowing another entry point for your source, for package sources, while you need to the packages need to come from your trusted source, the Wolfie repositories. The packages are signed and kept updated and everything. So you need a new build of the image to update your WordPress version. I hope that was answered. Okay, let's go back to the demo. There's nothing running now on my machine. And now I'm gonna run Docker compose up dash builds, but I did build the image already. So okay, so yeah, it builds again. So this is the output from the image builds first. Okay, so from latest dev, add the user, and then write image, etc. And then now it's creating all the services, volumes, and the containers in the network. So we see here the outputs, WordPress not found, copy now. So this is work from the entry point script. When it detects that the document root has no files, then it will copy from the WordPress source, which is installed in a separate part of the system on USR, local, some directory like that. The source stays there. And when the document root is empty, it is copied by the entry point script. So then it was successfully copied, and then it detects that there is no WP config file, because you could also provide one via a volume share, but there is no WP config. Then it detected the presence of WordPress variables, environment variables. So it will copy the WP config Docker file, which is included in the sources also of the entry point script. And then it will copy the file. And this file doesn't have anything hard-coded in it. It is important to know. So your environment variables won't be exposed in the WP config file. The difference here from the normal WP config is this one uses getenv and gets the environment variables with those names, WP WordPress DB host, WordPress DB name, and then it uses those to set up the database. So it's not going to be exposed. It's going to be in the environment, of course. And then, okay, so WordPress is set. The database is not set yet. So the MariaDB database will also detect the presence of environment variables, and it will create the database. Let me see. Entry point, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, somewhere here. Yeah, creating database, WordPress, creating user, WP user, and such, and created the WordPress schema. Okay, so the environment is up and running. So we can go now to the browser. And then you have the WordPress famous installation. Let's install it quickly. Did I copy? I think I copied the password, right? Okay, so WordPress is installed, the latest version, everything fine. And then you can install you can change here the add new theme, then choose a theme. Normally, let's say, I don't know, favorites. Oh, no favorite themes. Okay, let's go choose. Okay, this one is easy, I think. Simple. Okay, install. I'm starting this. Hello Elementor. Activate. Can I visualize it? Okay, I guess it is using the new theme. Well, it needs to be configured. But yeah, so the theme, the choice of theme is a whole new other thing. And then I'm not gonna choose too much. But yeah, I installed the theme now. And so if I go here, let's go now to the terminal to have a look at the WP content folder. So this is running, this here on top is running the Docker Compose environment. This is a LAMP environment. And you see all the output here from all the requests. And here I'm gonna show you the WP content folder. So we now have it populated. And then if you go to the themes, we have the default ones and also this one that I installed, Hello Elementor. Okay, so customization is all possible, plugins, themes, everything you need to customize. So, okay. And then if we stop it, we stop the environment, we'll still have the customizations, right? So that's when the second part comes, the distroless part comes when you have already your setup ready, like you have your custom things in place, and like the theme, the plugins that you want to use, everything. And now you can go to build your distroless version. So we're gonna see now the other example. So here we have also the same .env file. And we have a Docker file that is different that I showed in the slides for the distroless version. Yes, so the first stage until here. So we create a build stage based on latest dev, and then we trigger the creation WP config, and then we copy the customizations we have on our local WP content folder. We copy over to the source of the WordPress files, which is in USR SRC WordPress WP content. And then we run the entry point script, passing just a dummy command PHP FPM -- version, just so that the entry point can be executed. The entry point will copy everything to the document root of this stage. And then on the second stage, that is distroless, we're gonna copy everything from the document root and over to the distroless image document root and set the permissions while doing so to the PHP user. Okay, so the Docker Compose file has a few differences. So database the same, Nginx also the same. But then we are also building a custom image here, WordPress local distroless. I named it. We have an additional set of configurations, right, to disable plugin and theme updates and installations and automatic updates. So this is only for the distroless image because we don't want to allow any changes to our runtime. The runtime must not have any file changes and modifications. Okay, so this is the main difference from the other. And also we don't have the volume sharing the WP content because this is copied at build time and not runtime. Runtime is kind of a static sort of image, like everything is already baked in and only modifications allowed are at build time. Okay, so we're gonna run this one also. Let me do this to make sure I don't get any old thing. There's an also document. Okay, yes, this. No, so no, there is no volumes. Okay. Dash builds. Okay, so you can see it was really quick. The entry point script to run in the builds during builds time. So there was quickly you could see here the outputs. But yeah, the image once the image is built, everything is in it. So all the WordPress files, everything. Here is the line: run entry points, blah blah blah. And this is the single layer of the final image. It's just a copy directive. And then we have here the initialization of the database. The database is set from scratch with the environment variables that we provided. You could also be using which would be more common, I guess, would be to be using a database service or something like that, that you would be configuring through the environment variables. But this is a development test environment on Docker Compose, so we are using a disposable database here. Yes, so when we finish, then I will answer all the questions. Okay, so that's just we keep on with the flow. All right, so yes, it's running. We can go now to the localhost again, and then we have to install again because the database is fresh. Okay, so now the difference is that no updates allowed. I'm probably gonna show some message about that. It's not showing any message, but yeah, if you go to the updates, probably see we will probably see something. But the theme that the extra theme should be here. Oh, I forgot to. Oh yes, that I forgot to copy the theme. We install it on the other demo, but I have an extra something different here also, the Q theme. Let me show what's inside the folder. So this is another demo, of course. So this is a 03 demo presentation. Okay. We also have some custom things here. So I added only this. This is not a volume share. So it's not like the other folder, the other demo that copied everything that was in this folder inside the container through our host machine. No, this is different because we only added the custom things we want to add to the default installation, and then this was copied to the image at build time. So there is no other files here, only what we copied over our custom theme Q. And also there is a plugin. There is a Insanity plugin. This I done the demo before, so I had these two installed: custom theme and plugin. And so this is the theme. Can activate. So yeah, now we have our custom theme already working, and we also have here plugins Yes, Insanity. So it's also activated. So this doesn't come with WordPress. This was included at build time, as I mentioned a couple of times already, right? Okay, so this is the distro, as you can see, it's totally functional. But this image that is running WordPress here, this image has no bash. This image has no APK. You cannot install anything extra in this image. Your data will be in the database, right? So hopefully a database service or something that is very reliable. And then this is only your ephemeral runtime to present your site, to present your data in your WordPress installation that you can reproduce anytime you want and recreate at for development, production stage, all stages that you want. Okay, so we still have a little bit of time. I'm gonna answer the questions. I just wanna close with some gripe scans before the questions. I'm gonna stop these. So when you run, I encourage you to run gripe scans on your local machine and verify for yourself all these that we talked about here. So first, you do a Docker pull to make sure you have the latest version available. So Docker pull WordPress, I already had it because I already tried before. And then you can use cgr.dev.chainguard, or you can also, this is the latest, the distroless one, but you can also get it from Docker Hub. So in this case, it's Chainguard /WordPress. Okay, it's the same build. It has the same digest, by the way. So it's the same builds. Okay, so now we can run a little gripe on WordPress. Default image, latest. So this is how the scan works. It will check all the content of the image, all files, packages that are inside, and then it will run through its database of vulnerabilities and see what is in or not. So these are all the, oops, I lost the, it's so long that cannot go back to the, yes, I think it's enough, right? So this is from the default image. There's a lot of critical, high, medium ones here. And let's do a quick one for Chainguard WordPress. Still one? Yes, we have one that is from 1 CVE, medium severity from PHP FPM. This was not, a patch is still not available. So this is the only CVA we have currently in our PHP images. I think the others as well. So yeah, but soon it will be fixed. Yes, so now that I run my demos, I'll go back to the slides and answer any questions that you might have. Let me see how I go back. Which tab is it? Yes, it's here. Okay. So I encourage you to check edu.chainguard.dev and check the images menu and the getting started guides. And then you see there are guides for our PHP images, for PHP, for Laravel, and for WordPress images. So the guide is a tutorial that has step-by-step tutorial on how to set up, how to use these images. Okay, so now let's go to questions. I have one question already. As you know, in building WordPress websites, we may use unsafe plugins or plugins with vulnerabilities. Would you say that the multi-stage visualizer allows us to hide or protect that layer of vulnerability? Okay, so do you remember the the image with the iceberg, and then there is the top, that is your code, and the bottom is the CVEs. So we could recreate this for WordPress with two levels at the top. So there is your blog, your stuff, and then there is the plugins. There is the WordPress database, the WordPress code base, and there is plugins on the bottom. Actually, three levels, maybe your customizations, and then there is the WordPress source code layer, and then there is the plugins layer. So this actually is part of the supply chain, of your software supply chain. These are also dependencies that you have, and they are actually part of the big CVE block that is 98%. And these can be protected with if the packages, we cannot package every single plugin, so it's not possible to protect the blog from vulnerable plugins. So this is still a responsibility that you have to take on yourself, to watch out for your plugins and your themes, everything that you use. But all that block under the plugins, this is going to be secure. And then what we do is, like, for customers, we can build the plugins and bring the plugins to our ecosystem, because anything to be safe, to be a safe source, it must come from both your repositories or private package repositories that go through the same process, automated process, to keep them updated and patched. And then these we cannot do, unfortunately, for every plugin. But we can build plugins for customers as packages as well. So that would be the solution. But in general, you will be a lot better with this image, but you still have to watch out for your plugins. Yes. I hope that have answered the question. Any other questions? We still have 2 minutes. All right. I see. Thanks, Emmanuel. I don't see any more other questions. So next month, we have learning labs every month, and next month the session is going to be in Java. So make sure you join us, or recommend to someone if you have friends who are Java developers or are involved with Java ecosystem. Invite them. It's going to be nice next month on Learning Labs. All right. Then if nobody has any other questions, I also would like to tell you that I will share the slides on Twitter, X, whatever, soon. Share these slides so you can follow at your own pace. And then I will also add links and share links to the repository where all these Docker files, all this Docker setup is available, so you can run everything from your local system and see that is true. See for yourself. All right. Thanks, everyone. It was great. And see you next time, I guess.